I have been working at Sterling Technologies for a few years, a renowned company in the engineering and development of innovative technologies sector. My name is Jackson, and I am a hearing-impaired engineer. Since I started here, I have faced a series of challenges, not only professional but also personal. Most of these challenges come from the prejudice and underestimation I face daily, especially from my boss, Mr. Thompson, and some colleagues. Mr. Thompson has never made a point of hiding that he doesn't believe in my abilities. He always looks at me with disdain, as if my disability is a sign of incompetence. "Jackson, can you handle this?" he said, without even waiting for me to respond, already extending the task to another colleague. It was frustrating. I knew I had as much to offer as anyone else there, maybe even more. But how do I prove that in an environment where people already had their minds made up about me? It was on one of these afternoons, while I was in the cafeteria, that Emily approached me. Emily is a talented developer and, in some ways, my only true friend at the company. She also faces her own battles, being a woman in a predominantly male environment. "Jackson, have you ever thought about leading a project?" she asked, sitting next to me. "Yes, but, you know how Mr. Thompson is. He would never give me that chance," I replied, trying to hide the skepticism in my voice. Emily smiled. "What if we did this together? What if we signed up to lead the next big project? We have the skills, and I believe in you." The idea planted a seed of hope in me. We decided that the next big project the company would launch would be ours. It would be our chance to prove that the limitations that others saw in us were not real. And so, we began to prepare. The project in question was a new inclusive communication technology, something that had the potential to revolutionize the lives of many people with hearing impairments, like me. Working on this project meant more than just career advancement, it meant a personal opportunity to make a difference. The first step was to present our proposal to Mr. Thompson. I remember that day clearly. We walked into his room, and I could see the disbelief in his eyes. "You too?" he asked, almost laughing. "Do you really think you can lead a project of this size?" "Yes, we do," I replied firmly. Emily was by my side, and her support gave me strength. "We have a solid idea and we are determined to make it work." Mr. Thompson looked at us for a long moment before letting out an exasperated sigh. "Very well, I will give you a chance. But know that I will be watching your every step." We left there with a mixture of excitement and apprehension. We knew it wouldn't be easy, that we would face even more resistance and, possibly, sabotage. But we were determined. Emily and I began working incessantly, sharing tasks and brainstorming, often late into the night at the office. We faced many obstacles. Some colleagues refused to collaborate, influenced by Mr. Thompson. There were times when it seemed like all the effort would be in vain. But with each challenge, our determination only grew. With each small victory, we felt like we were closer to proving ourselves. During this process, something incredible happened. My younger brother, Ethan, who is also hearing impaired, became interested in our project. He has become a constant source of inspiration and motivation for me. Seeing the admiration in his eyes gave me the strength to continue, even when everything seemed lost. Our journey was just beginning, but the seeds of change were already planted. We were ready to face anything that came our way, determined to show that our abilities and determination were greater than any limitations imposed by others. Emily and I have always been great allies in the workplace, where pressure and prejudice were constant. She, a talented developer, faced the challenge of being taken seriously in a male-dominated environment every day. I, in turn, dealt with continual underestimation due to my hearing impairment. We found solace and strength in each other, and it was during one of these conversations that we decided to take a bold step. "Jackson, I was thinking, what if we signed up to lead the development of new inclusive communications technology?" Emily suggested with a twinkle in her eye. "This can not only revolutionize the company, but also help many people like you." Emily's idea was brilliant and resonated with everything I'd ever wanted to prove. I would show everyone that my disability does not define me and that I am capable of leading a large-scale project. I immediately agreed, and together we began to draft our plan. We need to prepare a solid proposal, I said, as we flipped through documents and listed ideas. Something that shows not only the technical feasibility, but also the social impact. Emily smiled and nodded. Exactly. Let's show them we can make a difference. We spent hours after work working on our proposal. Emily brought her development expertise, while I contributed my engineering experience and a unique perspective on inclusive communications needs. Our brainstorming sessions were intense and productive. If we can implement this real-time speech recognition technology, we can create devices that help people with hearing impairments communicate more easily, Emily explained excitedly. This goes far beyond just a new product, it's a paradigm shift. Days turned into weeks, and we were finally ready to present our proposal to the project selection committee. The tension was palpable, but we were confident in our preparation. On the day of the presentation, I dressed in my best suit and met Emily in the conference room. "We're ready for this," she said, shaking my hand firmly. "Let's show them what we're capable of." Our presentation went well, despite skeptical looks from some committee members, including Mr. Thompson. He was always a hindrance, underestimating my capabilities and ignoring my contributions. However, his opinion did not intimidate us. "Ladies and gentlemen, we present to you a technology that not only represents a technical advancement, but also a significant step towards inclusion," I said, concluding our presentation. With this technology, Sterling Technologies can position itself as a leader in innovation and social responsibility. After the presentation, Emily and I anxiously awaited the decision. When we were called back into the room, our hearts were pounding. "Congratulations," said one of the committee members with a smile. "You have been selected to lead the development of new inclusive communications technology." Emily and I hugged, excited. It was just the beginning, but we had already taken a big step. We knew we would face many challenges ahead, especially with the resistance of Mr. Thompson and some colleagues. However, we were determined to prove that our skill and determination were greater than any limitations. "We're going to make this happen," Emily said, determined. "Together, we will change everyone's perception of what is possible." And so, with a new purpose and a strong partnership, we embarked on this journey to transform not only Sterling Technologies, but also the lives of many people with disabilities. Every challenge we faced only strengthened our resolve and brought us closer to our ultimate goal. When Emily and I started working on the project, we knew it wouldn't be easy. From the beginning, we faced veiled resistance from some colleagues and more explicit opposition from Mr. Thompson. He seemed determined to prove that I wasn't capable of leading something so ambitious. "Do you really think you can handle this, Jackson?" he asked me with a dismissive tone, in our first meeting about the project. I knew he was trying to demoralize me, but I stood my ground. "I'm sure I can, Mr. Thompson. And with Emily's help, we'll make this project a success," I replied with conviction. Emily, always by my side, gave me an encouraging smile. The first days were complicated. I often felt looks of disbelief and heard murmurs that the project was doomed to failure. But for me, every challenge was an opportunity to prove them wrong. Emily and I spent hours and hours in the meeting room, discussing ideas, developing prototypes, and tweaking details. "Jackson, I think if we tweak this parameter, we can improve the system's efficiency," Emily suggested one particularly long night. "Let's try," I replied, knowing that each small adjustment took us one step closer to our goal. And so, day after day, we made significant progress. However, sabotage began to appear. One day, when I arrived at work, I discovered that some important files had disappeared from our server. "Emily, did you see what happened to the project files?" I asked worriedly. "No, I didn't know that," she replied, with a look of concern. "We're going to need to redo all of this quickly." It was a hard blow, but we didn't let it get us down. We work hard to recover lost time and data. And despite everything, we continue to move forward. During this time, I also began to reconnect with my younger brother, Ethan. He is also hearing impaired, and when he saw my determination, he began to be inspired. "Jackson, you are an inspiration to me. If you can do this, I can achieve my dreams too," he said in an emotional conversation we had. These words gave me even more strength to continue. I knew that I was not only fighting for myself, but also for Ethan and everyone facing similar challenges. At one of the meetings, Mr. Thompson tried to demoralize us again. "You're behind schedule. I don't see how you're going to be able to deliver this on time," he said, with a tone of barely concealed satisfaction. I looked at Emily, who gave me a discreet nod of encouragement, and replied, "We're working hard and we're going to deliver a project that will surprise everyone. Trust us." Despite the difficulties and resistance, our determination never wavered. Every obstacle we faced only made us stronger and more determined to prove ourselves. And, little by little, we began to see the fruits of our labor. The project was taking shape and began to demonstrate incredible potential. The journey was far from over, but each step we took was a victory against prejudice and disbelief. We were determined to change the perception of the company and show that skill and determination can overcome any limitation. The project was progressing remarkably. Emily and I had spent endless nights perfecting every detail of the new inclusive communications technology. We truly believed in the transformative potential of our creation, not just for people with hearing impairments, but for communication in general. Finally, the day has come to present our progress at a crucial meeting. I was nervous, but also confident in the work we had done. We entered the conference room, where all eyes were on us. Mr. Thompson sat at the end of the table, with an expression that mixed skepticism and disdain. I started the presentation with the help of Emily, who was next to me, going through the slides and complimenting my speeches when necessary. "Good afternoon, everyone. We are here to present significant advances in the development of our inclusive communications technology," I began, using my sign language as Emily translated into voice. "We've worked hard to create a solution that not only makes communication easier for people with hearing impairments, but also has the potential to revolutionize the way we all communicate." As I spoke, I noticed a few looks of surprise and admiration in the room. We showcased the technology's innovative features, such as real-time translation from speech to text and vice versa, and the accessibility features that made the interface intuitive for all users. Mr. Thompson, however, seemed unmoved. When I finished the presentation, he was the first to speak. "Interesting, Jackson. However, I can't help but notice that these advances were made possible by the work of the entire team, not just yours," he said, looking directly at me. "I believe credit should be shared." I felt a lump in my throat. Emily, noticing my hesitation, took the floor. "With all due respect, Mr. Thompson, Jackson led this project from the beginning. He was the brains behind the innovative ideas and worked tirelessly to overcome the technical challenges," she said, her voice firm but respectful. Mr. Thompson smiled condescendingly. Of course. But we cannot forget the joint effort. I believe that everyone here contributed in some way." Before I could respond, one of the company's directors, Mr. Anderson, intervened. "I have to agree with Emily. The advances presented are extraordinary, and it is clear that Jackson played a crucial role. I would like to hear more about the technical specifics and difficulties you faced." I thanked Mr. Anderson for his intervention and continued explaining the technical challenges and solutions. As he spoke, I noticed Mr. Thompson shifting uncomfortably in his chair, but keeping his expression cool. After the meeting, Emily and I were approached by several colleagues who congratulated us on our work. However, I couldn't help but feel a tinge of frustration at Mr. Thompson's behavior. We talked about it later, and Emily tried to cheer me up. "Jackson, you did an incredible job. Don't let Mr. Thompson belittle your achievements. People have seen how talented and dedicated you are. Let's keep moving forward and prove him wrong," she said, giving me a light pat on the wrist. Back. I agreed with her. I knew the path would still be full of obstacles, but I was more determined than ever to show my worth. The presentation had been a success, and our colleagues and some directors were on our side. Mr. Thompson might try to downplay our achievements, but I knew that with Emily by my side and my unwavering determination, we could overcome any challenge. When facing the technical crisis that threatened to compromise our entire project, I felt a mixture of despair and determination. Emily and I were in the office, surrounded by computer screens, diagrams, and notes scattered everywhere. The clock said midnight, but we barely noticed the time passing. The situation was critical. A bug in the core system was causing intermittent crashes, making our inclusive communications technology virtually unusable. "We can't let this happen, Jackson. We've worked hard to get here," Emily said, her voice filled with frustration, but also with a firmness that gave me strength. "I know, Em. We'll work this out somehow," I replied, trying to stay calm, even though inside I was just as worried as she was. We tried asking the development team for help, but Mr. Thompson's influence was strong. They hesitated, clearly reluctant to get involved. Thompson had planted the seed of doubt about my abilities, and now, when we needed support most, we were alone. "If they don't want to help, let's do it ourselves," I declared, determined. Emily nodded, her eyes reflecting the same determination. We spent the next few hours diving into the code, trying to identify the source of the problem. Each line of programming seemed like an enigma to be solved. Emily, with her exceptional technical skill, identified some critical points that could be causing the bug. I, in turn, used my analytical skills to outline possible solutions, testing them one by one. "Jackson, what if we try to reset the communication parameters? Maybe the problem is with the way the system is interpreting the signals," Emily suggested, her eyes fixed on the screen. "Good idea. Let's tweak this and see if it works," I replied, already typing in the new commands. After several trials and errors, we finally saw a breakthrough. The system began to respond more stably. But it still wasn't perfect. I felt the pressure building, but I also knew I was close to a solution. "We're almost there, Emily." "Just a little more," he said, trying to encourage them both. "I know. We'll make it, Jackson," she replied, with a determined smile. It was then that I had an idea. I remembered a technique I had studied in college, something that could be the key to solving the problem once and for all. I explained my idea to Emily, who immediately saw the potential. "This might work. Let's try it," she said excitedly. We worked together, adjusting the code according to the new plan. Every minute seemed like an eternity, but finally, after a few hours, we managed to stabilize the system. The bug had been fixed. We felt a wave of relief and a silent euphoria washed over us. "We did it, Jackson. We did it!" Emily exclaimed, a sparkle in her eyes. "Yes, we did it. And we did it together," I replied, feeling a deep sense of satisfaction. As we adjusted the last details, I thought about everything we had been through. Underestimation, sabotage, resistance. And now, here we were, overcoming every obstacle with determination and skill. "Emily, thank you for believing in me. I couldn't have done this without you," he said sincerely. "You're amazing, Jackson. I've always known that." "Now, everyone will see it too," she replied, with a proud smile. With the crisis resolved, we knew that the next challenge would be to convince the board that our project was viable and revolutionary. But at that moment, we felt like we could face anything. We had proven, at least to ourselves, that our ability and determination were greater than any limitation. It was a long night, but we left that office with a new sense of purpose. We were ready to face the world and show what we were capable of. And together, we knew that nothing could stop us. With the crisis resolved, I felt a mixture of relief and determination. Emily and I had overcome a huge obstacle, but I knew we still had a long way to go. Even with praise from the company's management, Mr. Thompson continued to belittle our contributions. It was time to prove, once and for all, our worth. I decided that a public demonstration of the new technology would be the best way to ensure the success of the project and change the company's perception of me. "Emily, we need to do a public demonstration of our technology," he said, as we reviewed the final details of the project. She looked at me with a mix of surprise and excitement. Do you think we're ready for this, Jackson? Yes, we are more than ready. We need to show everyone the potential of this technology and, above all, that we are capable of leading something so revolutionary. Emily agreed, and we began planning each step of the presentation. We knew it wouldn't be easy, especially with Mr. Thompson trying to minimize our work at every opportunity. But this only fueled our determination. Over the next few days, we worked tirelessly to prepare the demo. We adjusted every detail, tested every feature, and made sure everything was perfect. The excitement and anxiety were palpable, but we were confident in our product. On the day of the presentation, the company auditorium was packed. I felt the weight of expectations and tension in the air, but I was also determined to turn this opportunity into a milestone in my and Emily's careers. As we were fine-tuning the final details behind the scenes, Emily turned to me. "Jackson, no matter what happens today, I want you to know that I am so proud of everything we have accomplished together." I smiled, feeling a comforting warmth in his words. "The feeling is mutual, Emily. Let's show everyone what we're capable of." When we took the stage, the silence in the auditorium was almost deafening. I began the presentation confidently, explaining the vision behind our technology and the benefits it would bring to people with hearing impairments and communication in general. Emily demonstrated the features with precision, and the audience's response was immediate. People began to applaud and ask excited questions. I could see the genuine interest in their eyes. Mr. Thompson, who was sitting in the front row, looked uncomfortable but could do nothing but watch our success. At the end of the presentation, the company's management stood up to congratulate us. "Jackson, Emily, you have truly exceeded all expectations. This project has incredible potential and we are excited to see where it can take us." I thanked him, feeling a wave of satisfaction. "Thank you. We are committed to continuing to develop this technology and ensuring it reaches as many people as possible." Mr. Thompson, however, tried to intervene. Of course, but we must remember that this is a team effort and not just two individuals." I took a deep breath, prepared to face yet another attempt to belittle me. "With all due respect, Mr. Thompson, Emily and I have led this project from the beginning. We received help from several colleagues, but the concept and execution came from us. Today's demo is proof of that." The board seemed to consider my words, and one of the directors nodded. "It's true. Your leadership work and vision were fundamental to the success of this project. Congratulations." As applause filled the auditorium, I looked at Emily and felt a rush of pride and relief. We had made it. The public demonstration not only validated our technology, but also our ability to lead and innovate. I knew that we would still face challenges, but, at that moment, I tasted the victory and the change in perception that I had longed for. The public demonstration of our project was scheduled for a sunny Friday afternoon. The auditorium was full, with company employees, board members, and even some investors curious to see what we had developed. I was nervous, but also very excited. Emily was by my side, which gave me a feeling of security. She smiled at me and whispered, "It's going to be okay, Jackson. We've made it this far, and today is our moment." When we got on stage, I could feel everyone's eyes on us. Mr. Thompson was sitting in the front row, his expression mixed with skepticism and irritation. He didn't want to be there, but he couldn't ignore the impact our project was already having on the company. I started the presentation with a brief summary of our journey. "Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Jackson, and this is Emily. Today, we're going to introduce you to our new inclusive communications technology. This project is the fruit of many months of hard work, dedication, and most of all, a deep desire to create something that could really make a difference." Emily took the floor next, detailing the technical aspects of the technology. This tool not only makes communication easier for people with hearing impairments, it also improves overall communication efficiency. We use advanced voice recognition and real-time translation algorithms to create an intuitive and accessible interface. As she spoke, I watched the audience's reaction. Many were intrigued, some visibly impressed. Mr. Thompson, however, remained impassive. When it came time to demonstrate the technology in action, my heart sank. "Let's now show a practical example of how our technology works," I said, and Emily began the demonstration with a live video. The tool captured Emily's speech and instantly translated it into text and sign language on the screen. The audience applauded, some even stood up to get a closer look. An audience member raised his hand and asked, "Does this work in multiple languages?" I responded confidently, "Yes, our technology is designed to be multilingual. It currently supports 5 languages, but we are working to expand that number." Another participant asked, "What about accuracy? How does it perform in noisy environments?" Emily responded, "Our technology uses advanced noise filters and machine learning algorithms to ensure the highest possible accuracy, even in noisy environments." The applause was deafening when we concluded the presentation. I looked at Emily, and she gave me a quick, emotional hug. It was a moment of pure euphoria. However, I knew that Mr. Thompson would not leave it at that. After the presentation, while Emily and I were receiving high fives and compliments, Mr. Thompson approached us. He congratulated us, but his smile was forced. "Good work, Jackson and Emily. Really impressive," he said, but I could see the frustration in his eyes. He walked away quickly, and I knew that wasn't a good sign. Later that night, Emily and I were talking about the success of the presentation. "Do you think Mr. Thompson is going to try something against us?" I asked. She sighed. "I don't doubt it, Jackson. He won't accept being overshadowed that easily. We need to be prepared for whatever comes." I nodded. "If he tries anything, we'll face it together. We've come this far and we won't let him destroy our work." Emily agreed, and in that moment, I knew that no matter what Mr. Thompson was up to, we were ready to fight for what we believed in. That night, I went home with a feeling of accomplishment but also a renewed weariness. The success of our demonstration was just the beginning. The real battle was yet to come, and I was determined to face it with the same courage and determination that had brought me here. When Emily told me about Mr. Thompson's plan, my first reaction was disbelief. "Emily, that can't be true. He couldn't have gone that far," I said, trying to process the information. She nodded seriously, her eyes reflecting the urgency of the situation. "Jackson, I saw the documents. He manipulated everything to make it look like you plagiarized another developer's idea. We need to act fast before he convinces the board," Emily replied, her voice firm and determined. At that moment, I realized I had no choice but to fight. My reputation, my job and, most importantly, my dignity were at stake. "What will we do?" I asked, feeling a mix of fear and determination. "We need to gather evidence that he's lying. I've already started talking to some colleagues who sympathize with you and are willing to help. Let's unmask him together," Emily said, placing her hand on my shoulder in a gesture of solidarity. In the days that followed, our small team worked tirelessly. Emily and I spent nights reviewing emails, meeting records, and any other documents that could prove my innocence. We spoke with colleagues, some hesitant, others ready to support. The pressure was enormous, but the solidarity of Emily and others gave me the strength to continue. One of those nights, while we were at the office, Emily looked at me and said, "Jackson, you're one of the smartest, most dedicated people I know. Don't let him get you down. We're going to get through this together." I smiled, feeling a rush of gratitude. "Thank you, Emily. I don't know what I would do without you." Finally, the day arrived for the meeting with the board. We entered the conference room, our hearts pounding. Mr. Thompson was there, looking confident, ready to present his evidence. When the meeting began, he stood up and began to speak. "Gentlemen of the board, it is with great regret that I bring to light a serious issue. We discovered that Mr. Jackson plagiarized another developer's idea. I have documents here to prove this," said Mr. Thompson, handing a folder of documents to the president of the board. I could feel everyone's eyes on me, but I stood my ground. When it was our turn to speak, Emily took the lead. "With all due respect, Mr. Thompson, We have evidence that contradicts your allegations, she said, handing a folder of documents to the board. These documents clearly show that there was manipulation on the part of Mr. Thompson. Furthermore, we have statements from colleagues that confirm this. The room was silent as the board reviewed the documents. The atmosphere was tense. Mr. Thompson tried to interrupt, but was silenced by the chairman of the board. "Let's hear what they have to say," he said, in an authoritative voice. It was then that Ethan, my younger brother, entered the room. He was holding a flash drive. "I have something that might help," he said, handing the device to the board chairman. The president connected the flash drive to the laptop and, to our surprise, it was a recording of a conversation between Mr. Thompson and one of the developers, where Thompson clearly orchestrated the manipulation of the documents. The room erupted in murmurs. "This is unacceptable," said the board president, his voice full of indignation. "Mr. Thompson, it is clear that you attempted to sabotage one of our best employees. You are fired, effective immediately." I felt a wave of relief and satisfaction wash over me. Mr. Thompson left the room, his face red with embarrassment and anger. The president turned to me. "Jackson, you have shown incredible resilience and integrity. From now on, you are the project leader. Congratulations." Emily smiled at me, and I looked at Ethan, grateful for his courage. "Thank you, everyone. I promise I won't disappoint you," I said, feeling a huge weight lift off my shoulders. That day, not only was my reputation restored, but so was my confidence in my ability to overcome adversity. Sterling Technologies has changed its policies, becoming a more inclusive and diverse company. And I was finally recognized not for my disability, but for my skill and determination. I will never forget that morning. Emily and I were about to face Mr. Thompson in a board meeting. I was anxious but determined. We knew we had to present overwhelming evidence that Mr. Thompson had sabotaged our project and manipulated documents to discredit us. Emily was next to me, holding the folder with all the evidence we had gathered with the help of some colleagues. When we entered the meeting room, Mr. Thompson was already there, sitting with a self-confident smile. He looked at us with contempt, as if he already knew he had the situation under control. The board gave us the floor, and I started speaking. "Gentlemen, we are here to present evidence that Mr. Thompson sabotaged our project and manipulated documents to discredit us," I said, trying to remain calm. Emily opened the folder and began distributing copies of the documents to the board members. "Here are the emails that prove that Mr. Thompson altered project records. We also have statements from colleagues that confirm that he tried to obstruct our work," she explained. Mr. Thompson interrupted. "This is absurd. Jackson is trying to save his own skin by making up these lies. He is simply not capable of leading a project of this size, and now he is trying to frame me to justify his failure," he said, with irritating confidence. One of the directors, Mr. Almeida, looked at the documents and asked, "Mr. Thompson, can you explain why there are inconsistencies in the project's communication records?" Mr. Thompson gave a cynical smile. "These inconsistencies are the work of Jackson and Emily. They are desperate to save their careers and are willing to do anything, even falsify documents." I felt anger rising inside me, but I knew I needed to stay calm. "Gentlemen, please note the details. The changes to the documents are consistent with Mr. Thompson accessing the system. He attempted to erase the evidence, but we were able to recover the original records." Emily added, "Additionally, we have witnesses who saw Mr. Thompson tampering with the documents. They are willing to talk if necessary." The tension in the room was palpable. The board members looked at each other, clearly unsure of who to believe. Mr. Thompson continued to deny everything, trying to turn the situation in his favor. "This is a hoax. Jackson and Emily are trying to frame me to cover up their own failures," he insisted. It was then that the door to the meeting room opened and Ethan, my younger brother, walked in. He was holding a tablet and approached the table. "Sorry to interrupt, but I have something everyone needs to see," he said, his voice firm and determined. I looked at Ethan, surprised and grateful. He placed the tablet on the table and played a recording that captured Mr. Thompson discussing his sabotage plans with another employee. The room fell silent as everyone listened to the irrefutable proof. The board members were shocked. Mr. Almeida stood up and faced Mr. Thompson. "This is unacceptable. You lied and attempted to sabotage a crucial project for our company. You are fired, effective immediately." Mr. Thompson, pale and speechless, left the room to disapproving looks. I felt a huge weight lift off my shoulders. The board then turned to me and Emily. "We want to congratulate you for your courage and determination. Jackson, you will be promoted to project leader, and we hope that you will continue to demonstrate the same integrity and skill that you have shown thus far," said Mr. Almeida. I couldn't believe it. After so many challenges and prejudices, we were finally receiving the recognition we deserved. I looked at Emily, who gave me a smile of relief and triumph. Ethan came over and hugged me, proudly. That day not only marked a personal victory, but also a shift in the culture of Sterling Technologies. The company adopted more inclusive and diverse policies, becoming an example of overcoming and innovation. And I, Jackson, have finally proven that my skill and determination are greater than any limitations. The meeting was tense. I could feel the tension in the air as Mr. Thompson tried, once again, to shift the blame onto me. He denied all the accusations, with the same arrogance he always showed, trying to turn the situation in his favor. The board, visibly divided, listened attentively to every word. Emily was next to me, with a determined look and firm posture. "Gentlemen, I swear Jackson is lying. He plagiarized another developer's idea and now he's trying to frame me to cover up his own mistakes," Mr. Thompson said with conviction. I prepared to respond, but before I could open my mouth, the door to the room opened and Ethan walked in, holding a flash drive tightly in his hand. Surprise filled the room. "Ethan?" I asked, surprised and relieved at the same time. Ethan walked up to the board table and without hesitation said, "Sorry for interrupting, but I have something you need to see." He connected the flash drive to the computer in the meeting room, and within seconds the recording began playing. It was Mr. Thompson's voice, clearly articulating his plan to manipulate documents and discredit my work. Each word came out crystal clear, leaving no doubt about his intention. "This is a setup," shouted Mr. Thompson, visibly shaken. "They're trying to frame me." The board was silent for a moment, absorbing the impact of the evidence. Finally, one of the directors, Mr. Collins, who was always fair, spoke up. "Mr. Thompson, this recording is quite clear and incriminating. We will need further investigation, but I believe we cannot ignore what we heard here today." Mr. Thompson attempted to protest but was interrupted by the company president, Ms. Anderson. "I think we've heard enough. Mr. Thompson, please turn in your badge and leave company premises immediately. We will be conducting a full investigation, but for now, you are suspended." As Mr. Thompson stormed out of the room, a heavy silence remained. Finally, Mrs. Anderson turned to me and Emily, a smile beginning to form on her face. "Jackson, Emily, you have shown admirable determination and integrity throughout this entire process. Jackson, as of today, you are officially promoted to project lead. The company needs people like you who are willing to fight for what is right and bringing innovation and inclusion to everyone." I felt a wave of emotion overcome me. Years of hard work, determination and fighting prejudice were finally paying off. Emily gave me a tight hug, smiling with her eyes shining with joy. "You did it, Jackson." "We did it," she exclaimed. Ethan also approached, with a proud smile. "I knew you could do it, brother. I always knew." From that day on, Sterling Technologies began adopting more inclusive and diverse policies. My inclusive communication project was not only successfully implemented, but also opened doors for many other initiatives aimed at the inclusion of people with disabilities. I became an example within the company, showing that skill and determination are stronger than any limitation. The recognition I always dreamed of finally arrived, and with it, the certainty that I could make a difference. Not just for me, but for all those who, like me, fight daily against prejudice and underestimation. And so, my brother Ethan, Emily, and I celebrate not just a personal victory, but a victory for everyone who believes that true strength lies in never giving up, in always fighting for what is right. Sterling Technologies would never be the same, and I was proud to have been a key part of that transformation.